It started as a summer romance when she was just 15. Tonight, she's behind bars accused of trying to murder the wife of her 38-year-old lover.
I went up to her doorstep with a loaded gun in my pocket. I proceeded to talk to Mrs. Buttafuoco for approximately 10 to 15 minutes, at which time she turned around to walk away. I hit her on the back of the head. I went to hit her again, and the gun went off. I guess, obviously, I shot it.
On a quiet morning in Massapequa, New York, on May 19, 1992, an event occurred that would forever change the lives of three individuals. The protagonist of this story is Amy Fisher, a 17-year-old high school student. She wasn't just any teenager. She was involved in a secret, scandalous relationship with a man twice her age, Joey Buttafuoco. But before we dive deeper into the mystery, I'd like to ask for a small favor. The statistics show that more than 70% of you watching aren't subscribed to the channel yet. If you're enjoying these deep dives into true crime and want to stay updated on future cases, please consider subscribing. It really helps the channel grow and ensures you don't miss out on any new videos. Now, without further ado, let's get back to the case. Amy Fisher was a high school student, just 16 years old, when she first met Joey Buttafuoco. Their paths crossed when Amy brought her car to Joey's auto body shop for repairs. Joey Buttafuoco was then a 36-year-old auto body shop owner. He was married to Mary Jo Buttafuoco, a devoted wife and mother. Joey and Mary Jo had built a life together, raising their children in what seemed to be a peaceful suburban setting. However, beneath this veneer of normalcy lay a tumultuous and illicit affair between Joey and Amy, which would later erupt into the infamous Long Island scandal in 1992. Joey Buttafuoco, a charismatic and somewhat brash man, quickly developed a rapport with the young Amy. Despite the significant age difference, their relationship soon turned from professional to personal. Joey's charm and attention captivated Amy, who was navigating the tumultuous waters of teenage emotions and infatuation. Their relationship became sexual, although Joey initially denied this aspect vehemently to both the public and his wife. As their affair progressed, Amy became increasingly infatuated with Joey. She viewed him not just as a lover, but as a possible life partner. Joey, on the other hand, appeared to enjoy the attention and excitement that came with the affair. He showered Amy with gifts and affection, further deepening her emotional attachment to him. Joey's promises and reassurances led Amy to believe that he would eventually leave his wife, Mary Jo, for her. Amy Fisher's obsession with Joey intensified over time. She began to see Mary Jo Buttafuoco as the sole obstacle preventing her from being with Joey. This belief was compounded by Joey's continued involvement with Amy, even as he maintained his marriage to Mary Jo. The affair was not just a secret, it was a driving force in Amy's life, influencing her decisions and actions in profound ways. Joey Buttafuoco's denials of the affair added to the complexity of the situation. To the public, he presented himself as a victim of Amy's infatuation and a devoted husband wrongfully accused. Behind the scenes, however, he maintained his relationship with Amy, further complicating the narrative. His dual life, one as a family man and the other as Amy's lover, set the stage for the tragic events that would soon unfold. As Amy's obsession grew, so did her determination to remove Mary Jo from the equation. She fantasized about a life with Joey, free from the constraints of secrecy and guilt. This fantasy, however, was built on a fragile foundation of lies, manipulation, and emotional turmoil. Amy's young age and impressionable nature made her particularly vulnerable to Joey's influence, blurring the lines between right and wrong in her mind. The relationship between Amy Fisher and Joey Buttafuoco was a volatile mix of passion, deception, and desperation. It was a relationship that defied societal norms and ultimately led to a series of events that would devastate the lives of everyone involved. As the affair continued, the stage was set for the dramatic and violent confrontation that would forever change their lives and capture the nation's attention. On May 19, 1992, the tension and obsession that had been building in Amy Fisher reached a tragic climax. Driven by a desperate desire to secure her place with Joey Buttafuoco, Amy decided to confront the perceived obstacle standing in her way, Joey's wife, Mary Jo Buttafuoco. On that fateful day, Amy drove to the Buttafuoco residence in Massapequa, New York. Armed with a .25 caliber handgun, she approached the house, her mind set on a confrontation that she believed would change her life forever. As she reached the front door, she rang the bell, and Mary Jo Buttafuoco answered. What followed was a brief but devastating encounter. Amy initially attempted to engage Mary Jo in conversation, showing her a T-shirt from Joey's auto body shop as a pretense for her visit. She claimed to have a car issue and mentioned that Joey had sent her over. This tactic was likely an attempt to disarm Mary Jo and create a moment of confusion. However, as the conversation progressed, Amy's true intentions became clear. Without warning, Amy pulled out the handgun and shot Mary Jo in the head, at point-blank range. The bullet struck Mary Jo just below her right ear, lodging at the base of her brain. Despite the severity of her injuries, Mary Jo did not immediately lose consciousness. Instead, she managed to call for help, drawing the attention of neighbors who quickly came to her aid and summoned emergency services. The immediate aftermath of the shooting was marked by chaos and confusion. The tranquil neighborhood of Massapequa was suddenly thrust into a state of panic. As Mary Jo Buttafuoco lay bleeding on her front porch, neighbors who heard the gunshot rushed to her aid, calling 911 for emergency assistance. The rapid response of first responders was critical in ensuring that Mary Jo received the urgent medical care she needed to survive the life-threatening injury. Police and emergency medical personnel arrived swiftly, securing the scene and tending to Mary Jo's fatal injuries. She was rushed to the hospital in critical condition. The bullet caused significant damage, resulting in partial paralysis on one side of her face and deafness in one ear. The doctors decided that attempting to remove the bullet would be too risky, so it remained lodged in her neck. Her recovery would be long and arduous, but more on that later. Meanwhile, the detectives began canvassing the area for witnesses and gathering evidence. The urgency of the investigation was palpable. A violent crime had been committed in broad daylight, and the police were determined to apprehend the perpetrator swiftly. Joey Buttafuoco, upon being informed of the attack on his wife, hurried to the scene. His initial reaction was one of shock and disbelief. When questioned by the police, Joey provided the name of Amy Fisher, describing her as a frequent visitor to his auto body shop and one of his recent customers. Joey's prompt identification of Amy as a person of interest was a crucial lead for the investigators. Despite his cooperation in identifying Amy, Joey Buttafuoco was quick to deny any romantic involvement with her. He insisted that their relationship was strictly professional, with Amy visiting his shop for car repairs and nothing more. Joey's denials were emphatic, and he portrayed himself as a devoted husband who had no knowledge of Amy's intentions or the violent act she had committed. As the police investigation intensified, they began to piece together a more comprehensive picture of the events leading up to the shooting. They discovered that Amy Fisher had not only been romantically involved with Joey, but had also become increasingly obsessed with him. This obsession culminated in her decision to eliminate Mary Jo, whom she saw as the primary obstacle to her relationship with Joey. Immediately after, the police zeroed in on Amy Fisher as the prime suspect. Based on Joey Buttafuoco's information and the rapidly gathered evidence, authorities moved quickly to locate and apprehend Amy. The arrest took place without incident. Amy Fisher was taken into custody, and the formal charges were soon laid out: attempted slaying. This charge reflected the premeditated nature of the crime, as Amy had driven to the Buttafuoco residence with a clear intention to confront and harm Mary Jo. Upon her arrest, Amy Fisher was subjected to a thorough interrogation. The detectives aimed to unravel the details of her relationship with Joey Buttafuoco and her motivations for the attack. During these interrogations, Amy maintained that Joey had influenced her actions, claiming that he had manipulated her emotions and encouraged her to view Mary Jo as an obstacle to their future together. This narrative positioned Amy as a manipulated teenager, caught in the web of an older man's deceit. As the investigation proceeded, the evidence against Amy mounted. Eyewitness accounts, forensic evidence, and Amy's own statements painted a damning picture. The police discovered letters and notes between Amy and Joey, revealing the depth of their involvement and Amy's escalating obsession. Additionally, physical evidence, such as the handgun used in the shooting and the t-shirt Joey had given Amy, corroborated the story that she had been at the Buttafuoco home with violent intent. Amy's trial began in September 1992. During the proceedings, the prosecution portrayed her as a Long Island Lolita, a term coined by the media to describe her as a young seductress, led astray by an older man. The defense countered by depicting Amy as a misguided teenager who had been emotionally manipulated by Joey. Faced with overwhelming evidence, Amy ultimately decided to plead guilty to first-degree assault as part of a plea bargain. In December 1992, she was sentenced to 5 to 15 years in prison, with the possibility of parole after serving 5 years. Amy served 7 years in total before being released on parole in 1999. Joey Buttafuoco's legal battles were equally dramatic. Initially, Joey denied any sexual relationship with Amy and any involvement in the planning of the attack. However, as the investigation continued, evidence began to surface that contradicted his claims. Witnesses and physical evidence suggested that Joey had indeed been involved with Amy in a more than professional capacity. In October 1993, Joey Buttafuoco was charged with statutory assault after admitting to having a sexual relationship with Amy Fisher when she was 16 years old, below the age of consent in New York. Joey pleaded guilty to the charge and was sentenced to 6 months in jail, of which he served 4 months before being released on good behavior. Throughout the legal proceedings, the media played a significant role in shaping public perception of the case. The dramatic elements of the story, a teenage girl involved in a passionate affair with a married man, a violent attack on an unsuspecting wife, and the subsequent legal battles, provided a wealth of material for media exploitation. Regarding Mary Jo Buttafuoco, after the traumatic shooting incident, she faced a long and painful recovery process. The bullet lodged in her neck caused partial paralysis on one side of her face and left her deaf in one ear. Despite the physical and emotional scars, Mary Jo exhibited remarkable resilience. She underwent numerous surgeries, including a significant one in 2017, to repair her partially paralyzed face, which allowed her to smile fully for the first time in 25 years. Mary Jo's journey to recovery wasn't just about physical healing. She also had to grapple with the emotional aftermath of the attack and her husband's infidelity. For many years, she stood by Joey, defending him publicly and trying to maintain a semblance of normalcy for their children. However, in 2003, she decided to divorce Joey, a decision that marked a turning point in her life. In 2009, Mary Jo published a memoir titled "Getting It Through My Thick Skull: Why I Stayed, What I Learned, and What Millions of People Involved with Sociopaths Need to Know." The book provided an in-depth look at her experiences and offered insights into the psychological manipulation she endured. Mary Jo's story of survival and empowerment resonated with many, and she has since become an advocate for victims of violence and those dealing with facial paralysis. Amy Fisher was released on parole in 1999 after serving 7 years in prison. Initially, she attempted to lead a more conventional life, marrying Louis Bellera in 2003 and having 3 children. She also wrote another memoir, If I Knew Then, which detailed her side of the story and her life after the scandal. However, Amy's notoriety followed her, and she struggled to escape the shadow of her past. In 2007, a sex tape she had made with her husband was leaked, leading to a career in the adult entertainment industry. Amy starred in several adult films and made appearances in strip clubs, a decision that sparked further media attention and controversy. Despite these ventures, Amy expressed regrets about her past actions and attempted to rebuild her life multiple times. Amy and Louis Bellera eventually divorced in 2015. She continued to make sporadic appearances in the media and remained a figure of public interest, particularly for those who remember the original scandal. As of 2024, Amy Fisher is still active as a webcam model. Joey Buttafuoco's life after the scandal was marked by continued legal issues and attempts to capitalize on his notoriety. After serving his sentence for statutory assault, Joey and Mary Jo moved to California. However, his legal troubles didn't end there. In 1995, he was arrested for soliciting a prostitute, which violated his probation and resulted in additional jail time. Joey's criminal activities extended into the 2000s. In 2004, he pleaded guilty to auto insurance fraud, receiving a 1-year jail sentence and a lifetime ban from the auto body industry in California. His legal problems persisted with another arrest in 2005 for possession of ammunition. Despite these issues, Joey attempted to leverage his infamy into a Hollywood career. He made appearances in various TV shows and movies, including a stint on Celebrity Boxing, where he fought against Amy Fisher's husband, Louis Bellera. In 2005, Joey remarried Ivanka Franchko, but his life remained turbulent due to his criminal record and public image. The Amy Fisher and Joey Buttafuoco scandal, marked by betrayal, deceit, and violence, captivated the public's imagination and remains one of the most infamous true crime stories in American history. The case serves as a cautionary tale about the dangers of manipulation and the far-reaching impacts of violent actions. It also underscores the resilience of those who, like Mary Jo Buttafuoco, managed to rebuild their lives despite overwhelming adversity. That being said, if you found this story compelling, let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Do you believe that Amy Fisher, a teenager and underage at the time, was truly manipulated by Joey Buttafuoco, or was she acting on her own accord? Was Joey's sentencing justified, given the severity of his actions and their impact on Amy's life? And finally, be sure to share a few words about the bravery and resilience of Mary Jo Buttafuoco in her remarkable journey of recovery. We'd love to hear your perspectives on this case. Also, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more deep dives into true crime cases that shock the world. Hit the notification bell so you never miss an update.